Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal News. Tonight's article comes from popularmechanics.com, and the headline, and this is a pretty cool idea. The headline is the Air Force is putting death rays on fighter jets. Yes, death rays. Lasers will help older fighters stay alive while flying the deadly skies. It's written by Kyle Mizokami, and it was published November 11th, 2020. The U.S. Air Force is working with Lockheed Martin to deploy lasers on fighter jets by 2025. The SHIELD program will allow fighter jets to shoot down incoming missiles. Unlike guns, lasers have an almost infinite ammunition supply. The U.S. Air Force envisions placing laser weapon systems on fighter jets by the mid-2020s. The service is banking on a defense contractor's SHIELD laser system, a pod-mounted laser that will protect fighters from incoming missiles. The system will likely be used, at first anyway, to protect older fighters that can't take advantage of stealth to hide from the enemy. The system is called SHIELD, or Self-Protect High-Energy Laser Demonstrator. National Defense reports SHIELD is a pod-mounted laser developed by Lockheed Martin on behalf of the Air Force Research Laboratory. Mounted on the fuselage or wing of a fighter jet, SHIELD could shoot down incoming air-to-air and surface-to-air missiles. Today's fighter jets are largely limited to passive defenses against incoming missiles. Pilots can take evasive action to try and fly outside an incoming missile sensor arc, launch flares to distract an infrared missile seeker, or spread strips of aluminum foil, known as chaff, to confuse a missile guided by radar. A laser would be the first real active anti-missile defense in the world of air combat, actively trying to shoot a missile down. SHIELD is a pod-mounted system, meaning it will take up a station on a fighter jet typically reserved for bombs, missiles, or sensor pods. That makes it a bad fit for stealthy aircraft such as the F-22 Raptor or the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, as the pod will break up the plane's carefully minimalized radar signature. That said, both planes already have a missile defense system already built in, stealth technology. Instead, SHIELD will likely go on fighters unable to hide from their adversaries, such as the Air Force's F-15E, the F-15C, and the new F-15EX Eagle fighters, F-16 Fighting Falcons, and perhaps even A-10C Warhawk attack jets. Trading the ability to carry one more missile or bomb for a laser that could shoot down many incoming missiles is a no-brainer. SHIELD, paired with existing chaff and flare defenses, could very well someday be controlled by an R2-D2 type artificial intelligence, tasked with defending their warplanes from missile attack. How cool is that? Lasers will be useful airborne weapons. A laser can be powered by the airplane's engine, removing the need for an onboard gun magazine and providing a theoretically unlimited number of shots. Laser energy travels at the speed of light, removing ballistics from the targeting equation and making it impossible to dodge. Well, not really if you think about it, because you have to hold a laser somewhere for quite a long time. Because the way a laser works, it doesn't blow up like a bomb. It is a beam of light that heats whatever you're pointing it at. So in order to blow up the missiles or even blow up a plane or whatever, you have to aim that laser at it and keep that laser on it for however long it takes to heat it up long enough for it to blow up or whatever. Well, we'll see if they figured that out. However, lasers do have a few downsides. Atmospheric effects, particularly water moisture and smoke particles, quickly dilute a laser's strength. The further a laser beam travels, the weaker it grows. Furthermore, the laser must be focused on the fast-moving missile long enough to have an effect. Unlike missiles, whose high explosive warheads deliver a lot of energy in a single devastating explosion, a laser projects a steady stream of concentrated light that heats a target until something fails or explodes. That's exactly what I just said. A missile traveling at ultra-fast speeds could prove a difficult target upon which to focus a beam. A laser defense system like SHIELD is harder than it looks. The system must pack the ability to detect, track, and shoot down incoming missiles into a single pod-mounted package. The laser must be powerful enough to fry an incoming missile's electronics or cause damage to the skin or control systems, including aerodynamic failure. The power level of the SHIELD laser isn't stated, but a recent Defense News report says it's in the tens of kilowatts. So it's pretty powerful. This is just the beginning for aircraft lasers. Eventually, a weapon like SHIELD will go on almost all warplanes, from bombers to aerial tankers, giving them some form of active protection. As lasers become more powerful, they will become increasingly capable of engaging larger, more complex targets, like enemy aircraft. Lasers will also become useful in engaging ground targets, and some experts predict capable of shooting down ballistic missiles shortly after launch. Warplanes have been armed with guns for more than 100 years, but it's increasingly looking like guns were mere placeholders for laser weapons as the ideal direct-fire aircraft weapon. While it's important not to sell the airborne laser as the ultimate weapon capable of doing everything, it does indeed have a very wide array of theoretical uses. But how much of that is actually practical and affordable? We'll have to eventually find out. And that is the end of this article. So it looks like they have not yet figured out the problem that I was speaking of having to focus the laser on whatever you're trying to destroy for a period of time so that it can kind of heat it up to the point where it fries the electronics or causes it to fail in some way. When we think of lasers, especially like from an aircraft, we think of Star Wars, right? You're thinking of like when they're shooting the lasers from their blasters, or when the X-wings are shooting lasers or whatever. Those kind of lasers are not the kind of lasers they're talking about here. These lasers are more like the toy that you play with your cat with. The laser pointer where you point it and the cat chases it. That's what this is. Just a much more powerful version of that. So essentially what will happen is the laser will be deployed from the pod, and it will go to whatever you're trying to blow up, missile or plane or whatever. In this case, you're talking about missiles. So you'll have a line going from the pod to the missile, and it'll have to maintain speed with that missile as it's coming and make any kind of little minor corrections and all that to stay in the exact same spot, because that's super important for it to work. It has to stay in the exact same spot for an extended period of time, because you have to heat up that spot. If you move the laser, you got to start heating the next spot up. So that, I don't know how they're going to do without some kind of advanced guidance system. That's going to be so difficult to actually pull off. I wish I had more information on this, because I would really like to know how they overcome that. Now, in order to get to Star Wars lasers, where you can literally shoot lasers out of a gun and out of your planes and stuff, and they go flying and blow things up, that is a whole different thing. That's not going to be a laser at all. One way you could do that is maybe like plasma, something like that, superheated plasma that you'd be shooting out. They would be projectiles that weren't bullets, they weren't lead. They would be superheated plasma, much like the lightsabers would have to be in order to actually really cut through stuff. You could potentially do a lightsaber with a laser, but it would have to be incredibly, incredibly strong in order to slice through anything that fast. Otherwise, it's going to be the same as this. You're going to have to point it on whatever you're trying to destroy and just wait for it to slowly heat up and go through it. So this is a super interesting article. It's kind of cool to see that they're kind of going this direction, and they hope one day to have the Star Wars type lasers that they could blow up aircraft with. So if that ever happens, I will definitely bring it to you, because that's so interesting. So anyway, let me know down in the comments what you think about this, and I will catch you on the next one. Until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.